The sky above Germany on the morning of October 14, 1943, was a cold, pitiless blue. The air shimmered with frost at 20,000 feet, and the contrails of hundreds of aircraft carved jagged scars across the heavens. This was the second Schweinfurt raid, the infamous Black Thursday of the U.S. 8th Air Force. Nearly 300 Boeing B-17 flying fortresses thundered eastward, their engines droning like an approaching storm. Inside one of them, Liberty Belle, tail number 42 to 3074, the crew of 10 men settled in for what would be the hardest mission of their lives. Captain Jack Hammond, 24, sat in the pilot's seat, his gloved hands tight on the yoke. Sweat beaded beneath his oxygen mask despite the frigid air. Beside him, Lieutenant Frank "Red" Callahan, the co-pilot, scanned the sky nervously. "Feels like the whole damn Luftwaffe's waiting for us," Red muttered. "They are," Jack answered grimly. "But so are we." The bomber group flew in their tight combat box formation, each fortress covering the others with interlocking arcs of fire from their machine guns. Below them stretched enemy territory, riddled with flak batteries and waiting fighter squadrons. Their target, the ball-bearing factories of Schweinfurt, vital to the German war machine. At 1,100 hours, the first waves of German fighters struck. Messerschmitt Bf-109s and Focke-Wulf 190s came screaming down from the sun, cannons blazing. "Bandits! 12 o'clock high!" shouted Tommy Briggs, the top turret gunner, swinging his twin .50 caliber machine guns into position. The fortress shuddered as tracers streaked past. Jack wrestled the controls. "Hold formation," he barked. The sky turned into chaos. Bombers erupted in flames, engines torn apart by cannon shells. Parachutes blossomed like pale flowers against the blue as crews bailed out. Liberty Belle herself shook violently as rounds smashed into her fuselage. The intercom crackled with shouts. "Tail hit!" "But I'm still here!" yelled Danny Cole, the 19-year-old tail gunner. "Got one! He's going down!" For 2 long hours, the battle raged. Wave after wave of fighters hammered at the bombers. Despite the deadly gauntlet, Jack kept Liberty Belle steady, refusing to break formation. Their defensive fire brought down several attackers, but the cost was steep. By the time they reached Schweinfurt, the formation was nearly shredded. Only about 2/3 of the bombers remained. Black puffs of flak burst around them as the anti-aircraft guns opened fire. "Steady, steady," Jack said, guiding the bomber on the bomb run. The factory complex came into view through the smoke. Lieutenant Paul Jensen, the bombardier, crouched over the Norden bomb site. "Left, left, steady, bombs away." The B-17 lurched upward as its load of high explosives tumbled earthward. Seconds later, fire and smoke erupted from the target. Mission accomplished, at least on paper. But survival was another matter. The withdrawal was even worse. With the escorting P-47 Thunderbolts forced to turn back due to fuel limits, the bombers were left exposed. The Luftwaffe pounced again. Liberty Belle took a direct hit from flak over Würzburg. The starboard engine burst into flames. "Engine 3's gone," Red shouted. "We're losing power." "Feather it and keep her flying," Jack ordered. The fortress limped on 3 engines, falling slightly behind the formation. That was when the fighters struck again. 3 FW-190s dived in from behind. Danny opened up with everything he had. His guns rattled like thunder, tracers lancing through the sky. He caught one fighter full in the nose. It exploded in a fireball. But the others raked the bomber mercilessly. Bullets ripped through the fuselage. The radio operator, Sammy Klein, slumped over his desk, blood staining his uniform. "Sammy's hit bad," someone shouted. "Medic him if you can, but keep firing," Jack roared, forcing the crippled bomber into shallow turns to spoil the fighter's aim. One of the 190s screamed past the nose, spraying the cockpit with rounds. The glass shattered. Shards tore into Jack's forehead, blinding his left eye. Blood trickled into his mask, but he kept his grip on the yoke. Red looked at him in horror. "Jack, you're hit. Fly the damn plane." Jack snapped. They fought on for what felt like eternity. Somehow, incredibly, they shot down another fighter, and the rest pulled off, searching for easier prey. But Liberty Belle was mortally wounded. Her right wing was aflame, riddled with holes, and the fuel tanks were leaking. "Skip, we're not making it back to England," Red said quietly. Jack knew it too. The fortress groaned with every mile, sinking lower, smoke trailing behind her. "Bail out?" Paul asked over the intercom. Jack thought for a long moment. If they jumped here, over Germany, capture was certain. Some might not even survive the parachute descent. Yet if they tried to limp back, the plane could fall apart in the air. "No," Jack said firmly. "We keep her flying as long as she'll carry us. If she goes, we go together." Hours dragged by. One by one, the engines coughed out. The crew worked frantically to keep the wounded bomber alive, jettisoning everything they could to lighten her, even their guns. They crossed into Allied-controlled France just as the second engine sputtered its last. "Not far now," Red whispered, eyes fixed on the fading horizon. But fate was not finished with them. A final burst of flak from a retreating German battery struck the belly of the plane. The explosion ripped through the bomb bay, setting the fuselage ablaze. "She's gonna blow!" Paul screamed. Jack struggled against the failing controls. "Everyone out! Bail out now!" The crew hesitated, none wanting to abandon him. "That's an order!" Jack shouted. One by one, they obeyed, parachutes snapping open in the cold sky. Only Jack and Red remained in the cockpit. "Jack, let's go," Red pleaded. But Jack shook his head, his face pale but resolute. "If I let go of the yoke, she'll roll and take you all with her. Someone's gotta hold her steady." Red's throat tightened. "Don't do this, Jack." Jack gave him a bloody grin. "Tell my folks I did my job. Now get the hell out." With tears in his eyes, Red leapt from the hatch. The rushing wind swallowed him. Liberty Belle carried on alone, burning, wings trembling. Jack fought her every inch of the way, guiding the wreckage clear of the villages below. Finally, when the fire reached the cockpit, he closed his eyes and pulled back on the yoke one last time. The bomber climbed, higher and higher, as if straining toward the heavens. Then she stalled, rolled over, and plunged into a field, erupting in a fireball that lit the sky. The surviving crew, scattered across the countryside, watched in stunned silence. Their captain, bleeding, half-blind, burned, had given his life so that they could live. Days later, when they reunited in England, Red wrote the letter Jack had asked for. His hands shook as he described the courage, the sacrifice, the fire in the sky that had claimed their friend. Out of the nearly 300 B-17s that flew to Schweinfurt that day, only 198 made it back. 60 were lost. Thousands of men never returned. But those who did would never forget. They spoke of Captain Jack Hammond and the Liberty Belle, the bomber that had fought the Luftwaffe, defied the flak, and gone down in flames so her crew might live. In the annals of the air war, their story became legend, not for victory, but for valor.